Welcome to my YouTube page. Don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to receive notifications. Hi. How many times have you heard that the Quran is the perfect book that always have been preserved by Allah, sent down through Jibreel to Muhammad? Muslims have always claimed that the Quran is perfect, without any errors, without any contradictions. But wait, what if we can find just one mistake in the Quran? That means the Quran is not perfect. It's not sent down by a perfect God, as the Muslims have claimed for the last 1400 years. So can we find just one mistake in the Quran to prove that the Quran is not perfect and it cannot be sent down by a so-called perfect God? Yes, we can. Let's show you how easy it is to find just one error, one mistake in the Quran. If we can find just one mistake in the Quran, that means it is not from God. It cannot be perfect, as the Muslims have always told us. So let us see if we can find a grammatical mistake in the Quran. Let's go. Now this is Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, ayah 32. Again, Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, ayah 32. Now if you read the English, you won't find any difficulties or any mistakes. Let's read it. Wives of the Prophet, you are not as other women. And to the rest of the ayah. So there is no mistake here. If you are not an Arabic speaker, you don't see the mistake. You don't see the grammatical error. But if we go to the Arabic, that's a different story. It does contain a grammatical mistake. Watch. Let me read the Arabic and let me show you the grammatical mistake. يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء. To the rest of the ayah. But here we have a disaster. Now why is that? Because Allah does not know the difference between females and males. What? Are you saying that the writer of the Quran, who Muslims claim that it's Allah who wrote the Quran with his pen, sent it down through Jibreel to Muhammad, he can make mistakes? Yes. And here's the proof. يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إلى آخر الآية. Here the word كأحد should not be possible. Why? Because this is used for males. But wait, this is talking about the nisa, the women of the Prophet. So كأحد should have been كإحدى من النساء. كإحدى من النساء. Because these are females. كإحدى, not كأحد, as stated here in the Quran, in the Arabic. So this proves that Allah does not know the difference between females and males. And this is a clear, a perfect, crystal clear grammatical error, a grammatical mistake in chapter 33, ayah 32. Muslims, did your imams, did your istas, or did your shuyukh tell you about this grammatical mistake in the so-called perfect Quran of Allah? Muslims, please think. This is your salvation. They have always told you, all your lives, they have told you that the Quran is a perfect book. Now ask yourself this very important question. Can a perfect book, a so-called perfect book, contain such a mistake? And remember, if there's only one mistake, that means the Quran cannot be perfect. It's far from perfect, and Allah is not a perfect God. So let us continue with part 2 and show you more grammatical mistakes. Now this time we're going to talk about chapter 3, ayah 59 of the Quran. There is a huge grammar mistake or a grammatical mistake in chapter 3, ayah 59 of the Quran. Now this is chapter 3, ayah 59. Surah Ali Imran, ayah 59. So let me show you the disaster. First, let us read the English and continue. Indeed, the example of Jesus to Allah is like that of Adam. He created him from dust, then he said to him, be, and he was. Be, and he was. Does the Arabic says be, and he was? Let us investigate that. Let me show you the taqiyya, the deception of the Muslim translators who are trying to fix the Arabic, which the Arabic does not say. So let us go to the Arabic, back to the original Arabic, and show you the grammatical disaster that Muhammad created in his man-made book, calling it a divine book from a divine being called Allah. Let us show you that the Quran is nothing but a man-made book that contains many disasters. Watch. This is chapter 3, Surah Ali Imran again, the same ayah, ayah 59. Let me read part of the Arabic to you and show you the disaster. It's already on the screen, but let me explain. ثم قال له كن فيكون. ثم قال له كن فيكون. Now pay attention to the last word. فيكون. فيكون. Now here comes the grammatical mistake in the Arabic. Here the ayah is talking in the past. Allah is saying, he said to him, to who? To Adam, be. And it should be he was. You see, Sahih International, this is the Sahih International translation in the English, is fixing the disaster that Allah, we know it's Muhammad, there is nothing called Allah, who Muhammad himself created in his Quran. So the English translators are fixing the damage. Fixing the damage after the damage has already been taken place in the Arabic for the last 1400 years. So do you see how they are covering up the disastrous mistakes? Wow. What an embarrassing sight. Wow, do you already see the deception, guys? If you didn't, let me explain further. So, فَيَكُونَ, that's the disaster. It should be فَكَانَ. فَكَانَ or فَكَانَ. فَكَانَ or فَكَانَ. Not فَيَكُونَ. Why? Because if we translate the Arabic correctly, it is the following. Be, and so he will be. That's what the Arabic says. So the translators immediately saw, hey, there's a mistake in the Arabic, a huge mistake in Arabic. Let us cover it up and translate it and fix it the right way. Let us fix the Quran of Allah in chapter 3, ayah 59. Do you see it? So the Arabic again says, ثم قال له كن فيكون. Be, so he will be. So that is grammatically wrong. So they had to fix it, because as you see the green here, in the green you see that the he was is the correct way. فكان or فكان. فكان or فكان, not فيكون, because that will sound as if Allah is still planning to create Adam in the future. That's grammatically a mistake, right, Muslims? So you see, the translators were more smart than Allah himself. They had to do something about the Arabic, fixing the Arabic. Do you see it? Fixing the mistake of Allah, fixing the mistake in the grammar of Allah in his so-called divine book. How can Allah be divine? How can Muslims claim that Allah is God while Allah is making mistakes in his so-called perfect book, which is the Quran that you see in front of you? So again, the ayah in Arabic is saying, be, so he will be. So Adam will be created. No, grammatically that's wrong, because Adam was created many centuries ago. So it should have been he was. فكان, not فيكون. فكان, that's the correct way to say it in the Arabic, not fayakun. That's a disaster that Muhammad created in his Quran. It almost sounds as if the one who wrote the Quran is an illiterate. Who can that illiterate be? Could it be Muhammad himself who created these disasters because he is failing the grammar? He is creating grammatical mistakes in his Quran only because he wants to sound like a poet. You see, when you read the Quran or recite the Quran, it is poetry. Muhammad didn't care about the disasters. He didn't care about the message. He just cared about poetry. And remember, in the 7th century, the Arabs, they loved poetry. They loved poetry. So that's what Muhammad did. He forgot that when you're going to create poetry, you're going to make mistakes like these. Poetry, it's nothing but poetry that contains grammatical mistakes, because Muhammad is a poet. He is a liar. He is a fabricator. And when you are a fake prophet, you're going to make mistakes. So Muslims, should we ask Allah to take himself and his prophet to go back to the madrasa, to school, and retake their Arabic exams because they are failing miserably here? And we need Muslim translators like Sahih International to fix the damage that Allah did 1400 years ago when he gave the Quran supposedly to Muhammad. And if we can show you a list of translations, you will see the disaster already in front of you. Here, Pictol was trying to be honest. He did not try to fix the mistake of Allah. He said be and he is in his translation. He did not change it. He did not fix Allah's mistake. It's close to my translation, because the right translation is so he will be. Be, so he will be. But Yusuf Ali, on the other hand, and Sahih International, both of them said be and he was. Be and he was. You see it? So Yusuf Ali and Sahih International had to create a false translation, fixing the mistake that Allah created in the Arabic. I mean Muhammad. There is no Allah, right? And some of them, like Pictol here, forget for a split second to not be honest like the rest. So here you already see what I'm trying to talk about. This is not my translation. This is Pictol. This is a Sunni Muslim, right, who is basically agreeing with me. Allah said be and Adam, so he will be. So basically Allah is waiting, still waiting to create Adam. It should have been grammatically, if the grammar is correct, it should have been be and he was. Adam was created in the past, many and many and many centuries ago. Do you see the disaster? Do you now understand why I had to create this video? To shake up the Muslims who are sincere, who are truly seeking for the truth, and don't like to be deceived by their scholars and translators, as you see in front of you. In part 3 of this series, we're going to continue bringing down the hammer on the Quran of Muhammad. This is chapter 42, ayah 17. This is the first example, so let us start. This is chapter 42, Surat Ashura, ayah 17. Chapter 42, Surat Ashura, ayah 17. Let me read the Arabic. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّ السَّاعَةَ قَرِيبٌ. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّ السَّاعَةَ قَرِيبٌ. Now there is a grammatical mistake here, and here is why. As you see, you have to pay attention to the last two words, and we have to read from right to left. The first one, the hour, as-sa'ata, is feminine, but qareeb is masculine. And as you noticed in our earlier videos, we explained to you that you cannot use both feminine and masculine in the same sentence. So here, Muhammad in his man-made book, the Quran, he made a huge mistake not knowing the difference between feminine and masculine words. So as the ayah, as it is now in the Quran, there is a mistake in it. So it has a mistake that needs to be corrected by who? By no one else but us. The Christians have to correct it because the Muslims don't dare to do that. As-sa'ata qareeb. As-sa'ata qareeb. So the ayah must be corrected by who? By nobody else than me in this case. So it should be as-sa'ata qareeba. As-sa'ata qareeba. To make it both feminine, as you see. As-sa'ata qareeba. Then it is correct, not as we found it here in the Quran. Muslims, your Quran needs to be corrected because clearly your Quran is nothing but a man-made book. There is nothing called Allah. It has always been Muhammad. Muhammad fabricating ayahs, fabricating nothing but a poetry book because he's nothing but a poet, a fabricator. And when you're going to create poetry, you're going to make mistakes. So here Muhammad clearly showed us that he does not know the difference between feminine forms of words and masculine forms of words. You cannot use it both. So we had to correct the ayah in chapter 42, ayah 17. As-sa'ata qareeba. That's the correct way. Now let us go to the second disaster. Disaster number 2. Here in chapter 6, ayah 157, there is also a grammatical mistake. Watch. This is Surah Al-An'am, ayah 157. Again, Surah Al-An'am, ayah 157. Let us read the Arabic. فَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. And here is the disaster. A clear sign has come to you from your Lord. A clear sign has come to you from your Lord. فَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Now as you see here, جَاءَكُمْ is a masculine word, but بَيِّنَةٌ, the second word here that you see in red, is a feminine word. You cannot, as we explained earlier, you cannot use masculine forms of words together with feminine forms of words in the same sentence. So we have to correct Muhammad's Quran again, and ja'akum is wrong. It's incorrect. We should change it to ja'atkum because ja'atkum is a feminine word. To make it feminine like bayinatun. So the ayah should read like this. فَقَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ بَيِّنَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. جَاءَتْكُمْ. And if we go to Surah 7, as you see here, Surah 7, ayah 73, Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 73, suddenly we can find it correct in the correct sentence, in the correct form. قد جاءتكم بينة من ربكم. قد جاءتكم بينة من ربكم. Here they use the correct forms of words because جاءتكم is feminine and بينة is also feminine. So here Muhammad corrected himself, repeating the same words basically. Do you see it? So here in this second example, another grammatical mistake. Muhammad not knowing the difference between masculine and feminine words. You cannot use both forms in one sentence. Right, Muslims? So, should we again fix the Quran of Allah? Is Al-Azhar University going to fix the Quran again, like they did in 1924 when they came with a new standard version? Are they going to come in 2021? Are they going to come with a new standard version that has all these mistakes corrected? How many more videos, how many more examples do I need to give you, Muslims? How many more examples do I show you that the Quran of Allah is nothing but a messed up book? It's nothing but a messed up book, and this is because Muhammad was fabricating a poetry book. Muhammad is a poet, a fabricator, and when you are a fabricator, when you are a liar, when you are a fake prophet like Muhammad, you're going to make mistakes. Now, in certain chapters, like chapter 6, ayah 157, you might make mistakes, like here, as you see. So, Muhammad here made a mistake, and sometimes he might get lucky, and later on, he corrects himself in chapter 7, ayah 73, and writes it the correct way, as you see. Here, as we showed you, he's writing it as ja'akum, ja'akum. Later, he changes his mind and writes it in the correct way in chapter 7, ayah 73, ja'atkum. Here he is mistaken. Here he is correct, as you see. Incorrect, chapter 6, ayah 157. Chapter 7, ayah 73, correct, as you see. So let us continue in part 4. Part 4. Talking again about the grammar mistakes of the Quran. But we are going to change the format today. And we are going to ask the Muslims to decide which ayah of the Quran contains a grammar mistake. Today I'm not going to point out the mistake. You can decide yourself, Muslims. If you are a true, sincere Muslim who cares about the truth, if you are a Muslim who cares about al-haq, then I want you to watch carefully. If you are not a sincere Muslim who does not care about his salvation or the truth, please don't continue watching this video. So let us go to the ayahs and let us show you the disaster. We're going to talk about the grammar mistake, and we're going to compare chapter 21, ayah 91 versus chapter 66, ayah 12. So again, chapter 21, ayah 91 versus chapter 66, ayah 12. And you can decide, after watching this video, you can decide which ayah is the correct grammar, which ayah contains the correct grammar, and which one we should actually throw out, or maybe ask the Muslims to fix in their Quran, because they are the ones who claim that the Quran is a perfect book from Allah, supposedly the perfect God of Islam. So Muslims, please choose which one is correct, chapter 21, ayah 91, or chapter 66, ayah 12. Let me show you. This is chapter 21, Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah 91. Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah 91. وَالَّتِي أَحْسَنَتْ فَرْجَهَا فَنَفَخْنَا فِيهَا مِنْ رُوحِنَا إلى آخر الآية, to the rest of the ayah. So this is talking about someone, in this case we Muslims can decide if that's Jibreel or Allah and Jibreel, who are basically blowing inside Mary's vagina, the farj of Mary. So you have to pay attention to farjaha and fiha. Farjaha and fiha. As I said, we have to pay attention to these two words, farjaha and fiha. Farjaha and fiha. Here, farjaha, her vagina, is a feminine form of the word. Farjaha, farjaha, her vagina. And fiha, into it or into her, fiha is also a feminine form of word. Chapter 21, ayah 91. So let us compare this one later with chapter 66, verse 12. So as you see, fiha here is feminine and farjaha is feminine. And I want to ask the Muslims to carefully pay attention to what the differences is and decide later which ayah is the correct ayah when it comes to grammatical errors or grammatical facts. And you see here, Muslims are too ashamed. They are ashamed of the language of their Prophet and Allah in the Quran. They have to play with the translation as always. The word is not chastity, the word is vagina, her private female part, her female private part, right? So stop lying in your translations, Muslims. So let us pay attention again to these two words, fiha and farjaha, farjaha and fiha. So let us see what we can find more. I went to the corpus Quran to find out what the words actually are. And as you see here, farjaha, again farjaha, her vagina, not her chastity. Her vagina is a feminine singular possessive pronoun, a third person feminine singular possessive pronoun. So the word is a feminine form of word, farjaha. And fiha is into her, meaning into her or into it, is also a feminine singular object pronoun, a third person feminine singular object pronoun. Now here is chapter 66, Surah At-Tahrim, verse 12. Basically, Muhammad is copying and pasting what he said earlier. He is again saying what he said before. This is chapter 66, Surah At-Tahrim, verse 12. Repeating what he said. وَمَرْيَمَ ابْنَةَ عُمْرَانَ الَّتِي أَحْسَنَتْ فَرْجَهَا فَنَفَخْنَا فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِنَا إلى آخر الآية, to the rest of the ayah. So here, in this ayah, we see that it's farjaha, but we read fihi. In the last ayah, it was fiha, farjaha, fiha. But here it's fihi, farjaha, fihi. So it's fiha versus fihi. Did you catch it? Fiha versus fihi. He. Fiha versus fihi. And this is what we can conclude. Her vagina, farjaha, feminine, into it, fihi, masculine. So you already see the disaster here, the problem here. And if we go to the corpus, Quran.com, we can read that farjaha, her vagina, is a third person feminine singular possessive pronoun. So it's a feminine form of word, farjaha. And fihi, not fiha here, as you see, fihi, it means into it or into her. Fihi is a third person masculine singular object pronoun. So Muslims, I want you to think with me here, Muslims. I am going to give you the ball back here. I'm not going to tell you which one is correct, which one is not correct. I am going to ask you, Muslims, here is the question, and I want you to decide. Muslims, which ayah contains a grammatical mistake and which one does not contain a grammatical mistake? As you see, chapter 21, ayah 91 versus chapter 66, ayah 12. And we showed you التي أحصنت فرجها فنفخنا فيها. فيها فرجها فيها chapter 21 ayah 91 versus chapter 66 ayah 12 التي أحسنت فرجها فنفخنا فيه 21:91 says فيها 66:12 says فيه فيها فيه. Which one is correct, Muslims? Both cannot be correct. So Muslims, I want to ask you, pick and choose. Which one should we throw out of the Quran? Which one should we fix? And which one should we keep? Chapter 21:91 or chapter 66 ayah 12? Please choose for us. It's your ball, it's your choice. Decide which one is correct, Muslims. I want to ask our audience to download our videos, share them all over social media to show Muslims that the Quran of Allah is far from perfect. It's not perfect as the Muslims have always claimed, because can Allah, supposedly the divine perfect God, can he make mistakes like these? I rest my case.
And I hope you're watching.
Quite unfortunate.
That does it! Oh! Canada! That's not good.
Self-destruct sequence has initiated.